Well, good afternoon, Rotary District 7770, and welcome to Conversations with Rotary Action People. My name is Donald Hovis, your CWRAP host. Sorry, I'm remote today. I'm from the Chicora Rotary Club in Myrtle Beach. I apologize for this, but looking forward to a great presentation from Alice Ault on the U.S. Marshals Museum. At this time, I'll turn it over to District Governor Pauline for our prayer and pledge to kick off our meeting today.
Please bow your head in prayer. Dear Lord, we ask you to bless our clubs each and every day and night and keep us in your shining light. Bless our thoughts, our every task, and keep them pure and ever steadfast. Grant us love and peace of mind and keep our faith in all mankind. Amen. For the pledge, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And okay.
Thank you, District Governor Pauline. Now to lead the interview with Alice Ault is our Public Image Chair for our Rotary District from the 5 Points Rotary Club in Columbia, the wonderful Mary Gask. Mary, thank you very much. Take it away.
You're welcome. And let me just say, Alice and I have talked several times, so I feel like I know this person. And today is the first time actually having her face with the name, but we've had some good laughs on the phone. But today she's here to talk to us about the U.S. Marshall Museum Foundation, that she is the president of the foundation, and she's going to tell us all about this museum. So Alice, when do you plan on opening the museum?
Thank you, Mary. It's an honor to be able to talk to you this morning. I want to thank you all for taking a minute to join the CWRAP Zoom and the Facebook Live. I'm so grateful during this pandemic that we have such great technical skills that we can do such things. So it's really an honor to talk to you. Rotary is an extraordinary club. You do great things. And so it's a blessing this morning and in the new year to start talking to you. So the United States Marshals Museum, and I want to back up and I want to tell you that I'm going to show you a presentation that's going to show you the inside. But moreover, I want to tell you that every time I get to talk to a service club, I always get very excited because I know your heart. I know your soul, I feel. I know that you believe in America. I know that you are, each one of you are patriots, that you have a love for our nation. You have a love for mankind, as the prayer said, as Pauline so beautifully said it. And I know that service agencies and clubs really want to do good works. That's what you're about. Typically, when I'm in front of you, I get to feel your energy. And ironically, I thought today may be a little different in that I'm not in a room with you, but I'm completely incorrect. It's obvious that you have kinship. It's obvious that you support one another. And it's obvious that you carry each other and that you want to see good things happen to the world. I say all of that, and Mary's question to me is, when is this museum going to open? So we call the United States Marshals Museum America's Star. Remember that George Washington created the United States Marshals Museum in 1789. It was the first judiciary act that was created. He actually did this with the first 13 districts. So when you hear me speak of the Marshals themselves, I refer to them as the Eastern District of Arkansas or the Western District of Oklahoma, because to this day, they're still considered districts. When the Marshals were created, we didn't even have states. So we really consider ourselves to be the soul, the DNA, right? The fabric of who we are as Americans. They were the first federal policing agency, the original Back the Blue, if you will, okay? Very interesting for me. Moving to Arkansas, I said, wow, the Marshals, the guys that wear the big cowboy hats, those guys are cool. And immediately was corrected that would be the Texas Rangers. And then I had the beautiful education of who the Marshals actually are. So the museum itself will celebrate the over 230 years of the robust and storied and unique history of the United States Marshal Service itself. I offered that they are the federal policing agent of America. So they are the ones who have continuously upheld the rule of law and the Constitution. Two buzzwords currently today, literally today, whatever platform you align yourself with, They uphold the rule of law and the Constitution. These are things I feel like we've forgotten about in our schools. This is something else that the museum will absolutely illustrate, and you'll see this when I start sharing the presentation. I want to double back and offer that I called us the fabric and the DNA of who we are as Americans, because so are you. When we talk about the museum rising like America's star on the banks of the river here in Arkansas, we're really talking about what you have done. You as a community, you as the people who have driven to the polls to vote, as you, the people who have upheld the rule of law yourself with conversation and what we like to refer to at the museum as discourse. This is very important to us. Discourse, that word is huge to us. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start sharing my screen so that I can walk you through this presentation. When the nod was given to Fort Smith to be the home of the United States Marshals Museum, this occurred in 2007, we were in the running with other cities like Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Staunton, Virginia, Denver, Colorado. Fort Smith won the nod because this is where the majority of marshals had ridden out over into what then was Indian Territory under Judge Isaac C. Parker's rule. He was considered the hanging judge. And they lost their lives. The majority of lives lost happened when they rode out of this court. So the reason why Fort Smith was awarded the nod in 2007 to become the home of the United States Marshals Museum is because the Marshal Service itself considers Fort Smith sacred ground. Having lived all over the country and really in some other countries myself, Ireland and Scotland a little bit, I can tell you that Fort Smith puts a massive smile on my face. The moxie, the true grit, gosh, just the recklessness, the romanticism that is the Old South, the Old West. It's pretty incredible stuff. But to watch it marry to 2021 is even greater. You'll see that on the first slide that I'm showing you, it says USMM now. Mary, again, back to your original question, the museum is not open yet. So in 2007, we were awarded the nod. The nod came with, hey, good job. Now you get to fundraise. Love you, bye, right? So, you know, these wonderful boards of directors, we have 2 501c3 boards. I get to be the president of the United States Marshals Museum Foundation. Patrick Weeks is the president and CEO of the museum side, the operations side, a little bit of a role reversal there. I get to make the money and he gets to spend it, and he does it very well. And he does it on a budget. So when they awarded that nod, that fundraising really began in earnest in 2010 when our former President Emeritus Jim Dunn came on board. Originally, it was a $48.6 million project. I am gloriously here to tell you that we only have 12.8 million left to go in our capital campaign, with our sights on 8 million of that to push go on the experience production, which will hold the gallery spaces and the exhibits inside the museum. This is huge for us, absolutely huge. I say that because we've never been able to say, gosh, only 8 million more. We have hired a national fundraiser who is heading headfirst into 2021 to secure that $8 million. And we believe this will happen within the next 6 months. Again, this is why I'm so excited to talk to you today and to smile at you and show you all the great things that are happening at the museum itself. Our projected soft opening date will be in late 2021, closer to November, December, and our grand opening will happen in 2022. Remember that the Marshals are federal, they're a federal organization and have protected federal legislators, a federal judiciary, and at times even the President of the United States of America, including Abraham Lincoln. To coordinate those schedules, ladies and gents, I got to move some mountains. Some of those former presidents that are still living say, give me a call the week before, Alice. I'm your guy or girl, right? And then the other ones say, I need 2 years and $250,000. So there's a bit of coordination that goes into place. But to the question again, Mary, and that's a long way of telling you, soft opening date of 2021, where we have people coming into the building, we're showing them the gallery space and the exhibits, and then a grand opening in 2022. We have had groundbreaking ceremonies, ceremonial groundbreakings and building dedications already. In 2019, on September 24th, we went ahead and dedicated the building itself We had over 700 people in the building. That included former directors of the United States Marshals Service, current directors of the service, many legislative notables, of course, our congressional delegation who worked very closely with us. It was beautiful. Lots of former marshals themselves, just a great grand time. That was in 2019. And I'm going to go ahead and move forward. I will take questions for sure. So if you've got one, guys, feel free to jump in. I think we're an intimate enough group that we can do that if that works for the moderators. Are we ready to go on to number 2, the second slide? I had offered before that the National Learning Center and our educational programming is really where it's at for us. I use the word discourse. You'll hear me say impact, also experience. Those are the 3 main things that the museum will showcase throughout, again, the robust and storied life and history of the United States Marshals Service themselves. Marshals are alive and well today. As a matter of fact, the Marshals actually recently guarded the first movement of the COVID vaccine. They were traveling with it to keep it safe as part of a federal delegation. That's powerful stuff. They've been on the wrong side of history and the right side of history. For example, they chased African Americans trying to become free as abolitionists. Fast forward 100 years later, they're walking beautiful African American girls into classrooms in New Orleans in 1960. And it's powerful stuff to be able to say that. They have partnered with the 5 tribes, they call themselves the 5 civilized tribes. That would be Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole. Today, they cross-deputize, they train together, and you remember Wounded Knee and places like Alcatraz, where the Marshals were in battle with the 5 tribes and those people that were Native Americans. Very interesting history. All of those things will be celebrated in the Marshals Museum itself, and I'll show you some of those experiences here in a minute. We do really love our educational programming. We did, prior to having the building in 2019, have a very extensive educational system in place. Our educational department, we consider ourselves a museum without walls, continues to grow. Our director of education is Leslie Higgins. We have about 7 people on staff. That includes the development team. There are 2 of us, of course, with Jim as our president emeritus. And so you can already see what things we started, even without having a museum itself. We are reaching over 28,000 people year over year in over 24 states. This is without an actual full department for educational purposes. We consider ourselves a national learning center because of the type of curriculum we will offer. Our director of education, Leslie Higgins, already offers classes for teachers for professional development. We've partnered with the Clinton School here in Arkansas. We've talked to American University to do some curriculum there. We've brought Constitution Week back into the school districts in Arkansas and Oklahoma and a little bit in Texas. We've reinvigorated National History Day and included the National History Day folks across the country in on this to the point where we are teaching some of the curriculum for them. That's also very powerful stuff. We celebrate an evening in the past. An evening in the past is where we ask one of our former presidents, an impersonator, to join us to talk about the partnership between the Marshals and that federal part of our government. You can also see we have an educator resource series guide. Again, this is what teachers all across the country, even into other countries like France, Ireland, and Scotland, utilize in their classrooms. I'm going to offer that, again, I feel I can speak freely to both parties and say that civic literacy is not something that's taught in the classroom anymore. We believe that it's necessary that it is in the classroom. We believe it's necessary in the classroom from the Constitution point of view and the rule of law point of view. And so we've done that, and it's been very well received. One of the Rockefellers decided to move to Arkansas. His name was Winthrop. He had a son who stayed here by the name of Winthrop Paul Rockefeller. Winthrop Paul passed away several years ago, but his wife, Lisen, is deeply involved in the project and has granted us and underwritten a distinguished lecture series, which saw former Associate Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia come as a lecturer, Congressman Trey Gowdy as a lecturer, and we're hoping in 2022 for the grand opening to see 2 sitting former presidents come give us a talk on the different platforms. And again, you can see we're reaching so many people in so many different ways. That's even without being completely open. Some of the upcoming programmings that I think would be interesting for this group to note, specifically from the governor's point of view, the Art of Deliberation, the Desegregation of Ole Miss. These are programs that we're going to have in 2021 and 22. We've already started trivia nights. We actually call it Talks on Tap, where we bring in lecturers from across the country to have discussion on discourse, impact, experience, the rule of law, and the Constitution. We also welcome high schoolers into this mix and those of our friends who are younger learners. We do have an annual lecture series, a fall lecture that takes place across the country in different cities. For families, we offer all sorts of incredible things, including our Safe Kids Fair. We have some exhibits that are coming up. We do monthly celebration activities right now. They're all virtual, and we're doing video opportunities. If you've got family members with kids, I have a daughter that's 12 who absolutely adores watching Leslie tell us all about forensics. Remember, the Marshals dig deeply into STEM as well, science, technology, engineering, and math. So we're really an all-inclusive museum and a cultural campus. I like to refer to it as. I can talk about the museum all day, recognizing that I only have about 10 more minutes of your time. And I know that I would get a big smile on my face while talking about how great things are right now at the museum. So what I thought I would do for you, instead of listening to me drone on and on, would be to show you a fly-through. So we have two. We have one that actually takes you through the museum itself. The experience, the production, that design inside is done by the Thinkwell Group. They're out of LA. I want to tell you, they're in Russia, Japan, and in Thailand, extraordinarily talented people. And so what I thought I'd do is take you through the actual production itself. And let's see, David, I hope this works for me. Let me know if you can hear it. So that is the United States Marshals Museum building itself. Some of those spaces that you saw, and I'm going to walk you through some of those spaces as we move forward through this presentation. You saw what we call the outpost. That's our retail shop. But really right now, our shining specific Hall of Honor, the Hall of Honor that you saw, that's the biggest gallery for us. It's really, again, why the Marshals Museum was awarded the nod to be here in Fort Smith, because so many Marshals died riding out of Judge Parker's court into Oklahoma, which then was Indian Territory. I'm personally biased. I think it's beautiful. You actually got to go through a cafe that will seat easily 70 to 100 people. It will serve light lunches and dinners. And then you got to see some of the gallery space itself. So the next space that I'd like to take you through is going to be the experience itself. Once I fly you through this, I'm then going to walk you through the specific gallery spaces, and when we come into a close, again, I want to be mindful of your time. I don't want to overrun it for you. So I'll get you one more video. So So what you just saw there were the different gallery spaces. And the first one that you saw was that outside. So again, we sit right on the river, the Arkansas River. It is the only view in all of Arkansas that is unobscured. You can look right over into Oklahoma and see nothing but gorgeous river and gorgeous forestry. This will be the actual space as you flew into the museum itself. You came through the doors and you saw the great, what we call the grand atrium. You'll walk into the gallery space through this star, which is yet to be built inside the museum itself. You'll walk into what we like to call We the People, Becoming an American Marshal. This is actually the Constitution that you're seeing fly across there. And you'll see different pieces of the Constitution throughout the years that the Marshals have had to uphold with the different writs that they've been given. The next space you'll come to is what we call our Campfire Stories Under the Stars. You'll note that there are several marshals from the different decades sitting in the middle of that fire, having a conversation about what's happened through the years. This will not be a movie, sit down, telling you everything about the museum. It will give you little glimpses of what the experience will look like. You'll then circle back through those open doors and go to the actual gallery space that you find the most interesting initially. You can always come back to that central Campfire Stories Under the Stars and learn more about that gallery space before you walk into it. I will tell you that they look, those people, those marshals look incredibly real. The first time I saw them, they've been created. I almost fell over. I thought they were real. The fire looks like I had to put my hand in the fire, y'all, to make sure that it wasn't real. The next space you'll see is an actual cave they call Robbers Cave. This is over in Oklahoma. Several of the outlaws would run over to Robbers Cave to get away. That actually exists. When Thinkwell decided to do this for us, we took them on a big tour and actually took them over to these different spaces. This is part of our Frontier Marshals, of course, because we are considered a frontier border town. The frontier is important to us, but that's not where the Marshall story ends, right? It goes out throughout the nation, throughout the years. So this particular space will showcase what it felt like to live during that time as a Marshal here in Arkansas and on the Frontier Gallery. This is probably my favorite space. It's called A Changing Nation. This particular gallery talks about, again, going back to the Pullman strikes. It walks through the civil rights era up and into I offered Wounded Knee and into today and into 9/11. This is actually what the United States Marshal Service headquarters looks like. It's in DC, it's in Crystal City. We've been multiple times. As you walk into this particular room, it's called the Central Room, you'll see things start to blink. If you are a civilian, they will not allow you to see the things that are on the screen, but this is exactly what this looks like, and it showcases what the Marshals do today. So we walk prisoners and exchange across bridges. We go in and extradite folks. We take folks back to states or countries that they're from to extradite them. We chase, constantly chasing perpetrators, sex offenders. We partner with Interpol. And I will gush for hours about them. These are just some of the things that they do. This is our Modern Marshals Gallery. I talked to you about the Hall of Honor, really the piece de resistance of the museum itself, where we celebrate the fallen, we honor them by telling the stories. The gentleman who is pointing his finger along the wall, that's a kiosk that gives you all kinds of information about the marshals that have died or deceased that are on the wall. There are 376 names on the wall with space for more. We hope we don't have to fill. I wanted to offer that the economic contribution that we will put back into Sebastian County and Arkansas itself will be between $13 and $22 million. This is huge for those of you that live in communities that have a cultural campus or cultural footprints. You understand what that means. We also have the opportunity to put money back into the nation by those programs that we offer and own and run. Again, I want to be mindful of your time and I don't want to rush through, but I felt that this would be a perfect length to celebrate the museum with you and to tell you a little bit more about it. You can find out more information about us on the web, of course. Please go like us on social media. We are very active on Facebook at US Marshals Museum, on Twitter at Marshals Museum, and on Instagram at Marshals Museum. On the website, you'll see what I just ran through with you for the experience production. Beautiful. You also get to see some of those videos. You'll see ways in which to buy brick pavers. There is a walkway from the trail leading up to the museum itself, right past a 5 Tribes monument. where we can lay brick pavers, and other ways to donate if you feel so led to do so. But I'm more than happy to answer questions. Again, that's a lot of information, my friends, in a 30-minute time frame. Mary, did I do okay? Is there anything?
You did great. I had a question though for you. Once the museum is open, how are you preparing to keep people coming back?
This is a great question. So one of the things that's important to us is to make things innovative and experiential. Our outreach already is extraordinary. I can't tell you how many times people call us to try and come to the museum. So we're going to do events. We're going to host things online, virtual opportunities. Again, we've got, oh my gosh, conferences that we'll be hosting, opportunities for people to come in across the country to celebrate law enforcement, partnering with the NRA, all sorts of incredible ideas and ways to bring people back. Really what you look at are your concentric circles when you're really looking for people to come and continue to move through those doors, that regional pull. So we will be sure to have what we call slow Saturdays, where we're offering opportunities that may be a little outside of the box thinking for people to come back to. The campus itself, there's a bike path along the front of it. We're partnering with local organizations as well as national organizations, biking, 5Ks, I can keep going, whiskey runs. So lots of things are being planned to continue to keep people coming back for sure.
Now over to the actual marshals. Who makes the decision when to use a marshal and when not to use a marshal? Because you talked about the Texas Rangers and you're saying that they're federal and they escort prisoners. Who makes the decision as when the marshals are called out?
Sure. So there are several that can make that decision. So that's not fair. That's an unfair statement. There are two that can really make that decision. So the Department of Justice and of course the Commander-in-Chief. So those are the two that really make those decisions. We do talk to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. They have some pull there as well, but the real writ comes down from the Department of Justice. For example, when the girls in New Orleans, you know about Ruby Bridges, who was walked into the schools in New Orleans, but there were 3 other girls who we are very close to that were walked into the schools. That came down from the president, that writ. The same reason they were in Ole Miss. They didn't want to have a Little Rock on their hands again. So that directive came down from the president, Department of Justice, because that's who the marshals fall under, and then to the marshals themselves. So there are 94 presidentially appointed marshals. There will only ever be 94 presidentially appointed marshals unless people redistrict. There are 3,500 deputy U.S. marshals and admin. Each office is governed by the chief, who typically is a deputy U.S. marshal. We refer to that person in that office as chief. And those positions, again, are presidentially appointed and change via administration. We, the Western District of Arkansas here in Fort Smith, literally just had ours appointed as our current president is leaving the office. And that he was supposed to be appointed 4 years ago. So it's a pretty lengthy process.
How extensive is the training to become a U.S. Marshal?
That's a great question. So the training for U.S. Marshals is very extensive. So they train at a place called FLETC. It's in Georgia. It's the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in a little town called Glencoe. It's intense. It is a 7-week program. I've seen it. I've never been. They train as hard and with the Navy SEALs, from everything from obstacle courses and how to handle being under duress to learning how to shoot tactical.
So somebody becoming a marshal, what have they done in the past that drove them to be a marshal? Were they in the military beforehand or?
That's a really good question. The majority of the people that I know in the Marshal Service were either in the military or were criminal law majors or criminal justice majors in college. They do recruit. They do go to colleges to recruit some of those deputy U.S. Marshals. It's a tough job, guys. So, you know, when you get into it, it's a tough job. And typically we don't see people leave the Marshal Service. Once they're in for a long, long time.
Is it considered one of the more dangerous jobs?
So the marshals, unlike the FBI and our CIA friends, they don't wear suits. They come in under the radar, and it is quite dangerous. Again, when the FBI can't find somebody, they come in and they ask the marshals to help them manhunt. So the marshals, whenever you see on TV, when you see somebody that just says police on the back, that's typically a marshal. They go undercover. They were the ones who brought down the terrorists for 9/11. They were the ones who found Timothy McVeigh. They have escorted everybody from Dr. King to war criminals back to Germany. So yes, it is a very hard and tough profession for sure. I have a deep affection for our marshals, and I'm very close to a lot of them.
Are there any other questions from people watching the stream? I have one last one for Alice, but I was going to save it for the very last. Any other questions? Okay. Biggest question, Alice. Do you carry a badge?
I get that all the time. I know. I've been asked that so many times. I'm probably blushing. I've been asked that so many times. No. And you know, I have not gone through what the men and women of the force have gone through. So I don't. I wish that I did. It would be an honor.
Okay. Do we have any other questions on chat? Looks like not. So, well, it's because you did a good job. I mean, you covered everything. Thank you so much for being with us today.
You're so welcome.
We wish you luck. I know with your fundraising, you said you had hired a guy to do the fundraising. I forgot to go into this with you, but I imagine you have sponsorships and you do memberships to the museum and that type of thing.
That's right. As we ramp up to that soft opening date in late 2021, we'll start offering memberships and definitely always have sponsorship opportunities for the events that we have throughout the year. There are many. Again, check out our website at usmmuseum.org. On Facebook, we are incredibly active on socials, on Instagram, and on Twitter. But yes, memberships will become available at multiple different levels for families, for corporations, and we would love to see you take advantage of that for sure.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Good job. Very good job.
It's been a great time. Thank you.
Pauline, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I could have just kept listening. I was just mesmerized. I could have continued to listen for, I don't know how much longer, an hour or so, but I mean, I just loved hearing all of the stories. So I'm sure the museum itself would be well worth a trip. I am looking forward to it. I just love how you connected the actual Marshals' role in the history and pointed that out to us because how would we know, right?
Right.
Good job. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Okay, on CWRAP coming up, we have on Friday, Kelsey Gilmore Futural, who is with the Humane Society. She's going to tell us how dogs interact with people and how the Humane Society helps us today. And we have next week somebody from Dogmaster Distillery, and we have a bicycle guy coming in, and we have a Rotary International Public Image expert. So that should be interesting for all the public image chairs in the district. So we've got a lot of good things coming in. We hope to see you on CWRAP, and that's it for today. Stay warm, stay safe, and that's a wrap.
Great job. Great job, team.
Thank you. Very good.
Yeah, that was good. Good. Thanks, Pauline, for helping me out on that. I appreciate
No
that
worries.
very much.
Yeah.
Very good.
We probably should always have a co-host option.
Yeah.
On the, so if one of us gets hung up.
Yeah.
But anyways, it worked out.
Yeah.
So I hope you got your pictures done, Donald. You must have been far away.